how to do it. But the great coaches, they really break it down for you. They really simplify it because I think the simplest things are the easiest to continue to apply, right? You can scale those. And I think that's what Coach Leach did a great job of. So it wasn't like this, oh man, he's having a beautiful mind scene and drawing stuff up on the board. It was just like, oh wow. All right, we're going to stay consistent. We're going to keep things simple, and what power and value there is in that in executing your job.
Luke Falk, all-time Pac-12 passing leader. The book is the Mind Strength Playbook. And we got him on here today discussing, not only we'll get into that book in a second, but also the great Mike Leach. And it also, you get to master your mind and elevate your game, not only the game on the field, but off the field. We see the picture of Mike Leach, and there's so many layers. People, I think we miss him, and college football does. At this time of year, we want to know what we're supposed to eat for Thanksgiving and what it's like if you're going to get married during December or on a Friday night in Texas. Mike was so just a great human to be around. What is one thing you mentioned? Because I think a lot of people think he's a semi-complex guy when he's talking to the media, yet you mentioned the simplicity that he makes it for quarterbacks and an offense in his room. Do you remember the heated moment with Mike on the field, on the sideline, that sticks out to you, or in the film room? Because to be a good quarterback, you got to be a little stubborn too and single-minded. Was there ever the clash between you and Mike that we don't know about?
Yeah, certainly. I think for any Washington State fans, they probably saw that him and I had a riff my senior year, and it was probably due. Obviously both parties played a role, but probably me in particular being young, dumb, and immature, and not buying into the system. And I was listening to you guys before I got on talking about the player up in Buffalo who might think he's more bigger than the program. Well, I kind of got that entitled mentality myself, and lo and behold, guess what? Nope, you're not bigger than the program, because guess who came back the next year? Well, a guy named Gardner Minshew, and he totally lit it up. And they didn't need Luke Falk. So you got to always remember as a player that it's a great privilege and an honor to be able to put on the uniform and go out and execute your job and assignment. So we had plenty of those moments. I remember one in particular. We were playing the Holiday Bowl down in San Diego at the old Qualcomm Stadium in 2016, and we had a play against Minnesota where it was going to be reviewed, where it looked like he might not have got his toe down, and I was rushing up on the ball, and we subbed. So obviously in football, if you sub, then they hold the ball, and I was so pissed because I thought we could have got the call off, and come to find out they review it, then the call goes back. So fast forward my senior year, we played Boise State. Similar situation happened. We had a big, long, explosive play, but at the end, it looked like our guy fumbled it. So rushing to get the guys up on the ball, be able to, try to eliminate the review, and we subbed. So that's when I just lost it on the field in that regard, that we hadn't learned our lesson from the year before. And Coach Leach just basically said, calm my ass down. I'm in charge, and he was, and he certainly was. But I think a great mind strength skill I learned from Coach, because you and I both know him. He's not going to mince words. I think that's a great aspect of him, because I think there's a lot of coaches that beat around the bush, and they actually end up harming their players in that situation because they don't tell them the truth. So, there's a thing called hurt versus harm that I talk about, where I think as a leader, you need to be able to deliver hard news, which might hurt sometimes, but it's not going to harm the individual. Well, Leach was a master at being able to do that. Sometimes his delivery sucked. So then I created a skill, what not how. So it's like, okay, what's the coaching point I can take here? Not how's it being delivered? It's like we were eighth in the country my senior year, 6-0 against Cal going into that game. We had just beaten a top 5 USC team and beaten Oregon on the road. And we got our butts kicked on Friday the 13th. I had 5 interceptions. I threw a pick on a freaking shovel pass. I'm sure Coug fans are still pissed off at me about it. But, we go in the meeting room the next day, and Leach shows up in Leach time about, let's say an hour and a half late. I mean, no joke. And first thing he does, he gets right in the room and he looks right at me and goes, Falk, you gotta be the slowest mother effer I've ever seen. I'm so tired of watching you pat the ball back there like an effing statue, taking sack after sack. And that was 10 minutes of just going at me. And so early in my career, that would have just crushed me. I would have, because I hung on to every word that coach said. If he said something positive, man, I'm riding high. If he said something negative, I'm in the dumps. So that would have just ended me. But the skill of what not how, I had developed it
we'll get Luke back on. We'll reconnect with him. We got to hear the rest of this. I mean, and we will. The Mind Strength Playbook. I know. Listen, technology on phones is a pain in the ass, and this book is. I've seen a bunch of excerpts from it. I'm going to go get it because there's some things I want to. He delves into the mind, and I think it's awesome. And I actually think he can make a bigger impact. This going and speaking to companies and kids and being a consultant because he's got such a great feel. And I absolutely admire people who are able to walk away from something they're really good at. And I'm telling you, I've had conversation. I always felt he's going to be a great coach anyway. And this is a way to expand it, is admire people who are able to walk away from something at a young age, and not really walk away, but from the coaching and the impact to make even a bigger difference because of the balance of family and the things you're trying to get done. And Luke rejoins us. And Luke, you were finishing up the story when he said, man, you hold the ball too
Yeah,
long and
sorry
it would have
about
crushed
that.
you earlier in your career. That's okay, bud. No problem.
Yeah, so hey, easy. You got to make an audible here. We're doing mind strength skill. But
That's right.
yeah, what I was saying is, early on that would have crushed me, but now it's like, okay, what's the coaching point I can take from it? All right, get rid of the ball, no sacks, no negative plays, rather than how's it being delivered. And obviously, if I focus on the how, then that would put me in the dumps. But if I can just eliminate the emotion behind it, then I really could use Coach Leach as an asset, which is exactly what I was able to do throughout my career. And thankfully I did, because he's obviously a Hall of Fame coach.